talking to the staff this morning, there's a lot of time and effort that you put into to prepare for, your guaranteed one game. The first game where, the time that you put into it with your players, starting in January, February, spring ball, summer conditioning, fall camp. So you want to make sure it's right. But to me, one of the most important things is you got to enjoy it. I was thinking back to today. I told the staff, I remember the first time I got a football helmet. It was in the back of a truck at Pisgah, Alabama. My dad's mowing the grass out there on the football field. The guy pulled up in a pickup truck. Before you know it, I'm out there with headgear, shoulder pads. I didn't have to sign any agreements or anything like that. I'm playing ball. I'm out there doing bull in the ring. So, and that's what these kids. Why they play the game lots of times when you look out there, we're coaching them, and you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. But you think back to the purity of the game when you first started. That's why we do play the game. You look at our opponent this week in Georgia State. A team very similar to us. So we've got lots of players coming back on both sides of the ball. Sean Elliott's a guy that I've coached against over the years when he was at South Carolina. A fantastic offensive line coach. When you watch this team play, and you see the same things that I've always seen going against his offensive line. They're tough, they're smart, they play hard. They very well coached, do lots of things on offense, spread you out. Quarterback coming back. Was also the leading rusher last year, so we've got a dual threat guy that can present some issues there. Trey Barnett, the running back, is a guy that has breakaway speed that can score at any point in time. Got two of their leading wide receivers back. On defense, if you look, the leading tackler last year, Ed Kearney, led the team in tackles. Up front, they got two guys, when you just watch the tape, just stick out to me, 52 and 55, they're all over the field when you look at last year's tape. So, and they're good in the back end. Got their specialists back, so it'll be a tremendous challenge for us. I know for us, just to start with, everybody's always going to ask about Trey Smith. Okay, the plan's not changed with Trey. Our doctors and medical folks will continue to work hard to try to find a way to allow him the opportunity to play. He has had a chance to participate in a couple of practices this camp, and we're just going to kind of stay the course there, and it'll really be a game time decision with that. Aubrey Solomon's another topic that always comes up. Still, same thing there. Hadn't heard anything yet, and we're going to continue to practice like he's going to play. So all our guys take a lot of reps at practice. And we're going to continue to do that, so it helps us to create some depth on both sides of the ball. One thing that, coming into this camp, we wanted to, kind of create an identity of what we want the 2019 Tennessee football team to be, and Saturday's one of the first opportunities we get a chance to do that. So we've had a really good camp. We've had really good leadership out of our seniors. We've got lots of new guys, lots of unknowns, okay, and that's the excitement about college football. So, got a lot of guys that came here because they felt like they had an opportunity to play early at a big-time program. A lot of them have put themselves in position to be able to do that. So, we're excited about Saturday and getting the opportunity to get this thing going. So, with that, I'll take any questions.
Blake and Steve.
Jeremy with Bryce Thompson. Do you believe he presents a danger to other students at Tennessee?
I released a statement today, and that's all we're going to talk about that for right now. We're going to focus on this game, and and for us, that's what we can focus on.
Steve and David.
How do you feel about the quarterbacks you have on the chart there, and particularly Warren? What have you seen from him this training camp, and how ready do you think he is for this camp?
We've worked a lot of different combinations in the secondary. So Alante's played corner, he's played star. Warren Burrell has played corner. Sean Schamberger has played star and corner. We moved Jared Means there, Kenneth George. We've got some guys there. Kenny Solomon's another guy. So, you know, we have a bunch of different combinations, and we'll continue to work those combinations and really probably make a decision. We'll probably play all those guys. We've got a lot of guys that deserve to play, so we'll probably play them all.
David, then Austin, Jimmy.
Jeremy, what are the biggest things you're trying to learn about your team on Saturday?
You know, if you look, to me, one of the most important things is everybody, when things are going good, you know, you see guys that they got a little pep in their step when things are going the right way. Well, things don't always go the right way. So to me, that's one of the things. One of the most important things is how we're going to handle adversity as a team. Do you have a penalty? Okay. Do we make a mistake? Do we got a 2nd and 12? Hey, do we get behind? You know, there's a reason it's a 60-minute game. It's one play at a time. So I want to see how we handle adversity, see how we respond. I think that's a huge part of this football team in the maturity and growth of who we were a year ago.
Austin, Jimmy.
Coach, you moved Jared Means during fall camp for a reason. What is it you like about him at corner, and how do you feel like he's come along through camp to now?
Well, you know, it's probably not been talked about a lot, but Phelan Buchanan's not going to play, you know, right now. So, first of all, we're trying to create some depth in the secondary. So one of the first things you do is as we run 40s or whatever that's out there testing numbers, you need to be fast if you're going to play corner in our system, and he's a fast guy. He's also a big guy. Didn't play a lot in high school, but, you know, just talking to him, we, you know, asked if he could help us for a year to provide some depth, and he obviously would like to play wide receiver, and he'll do that one day here at Tennessee. But he's a team guy, and he's worked hard to learn what to do back there in the back end, and, you know, got a little banged up in camp and had a few days that he didn't get to participate, but he's had a good camp, had a great attitude. He's a guy that'll play on special teams, and a guy that I think's got a bright future here at Tennessee.
Jimmy, then Wes, and
Jimmy,
Rob.
two-part question. In your scheme, is the star position more difficult to play than corner? And do you want your best cover guy playing star or corner?
You know, that's interesting. You probably get different type routes inside as opposed to outside. The star position plays much closer to, you know, really the fray, right? So they got to be able to support the run. You know, you want to have good blitzers there. So it's a unique body that is physical enough to play the runs, but at the same time, on 3rd and 3, can guard the best athletes in the SEC. When you look out there at corner, it's a little further away from the ball. You know, of course, the game has changed a little bit over the last couple of years with all the perimeter stuff out there, so there's a little more physicality involved, but the main thing to me I'm looking for as a corner is cover skills.
Wes, then Rob and Jesse.
Jeremy, if you needed, if something were to happen to Jared on Saturday, would the situation in the game be the determining factor in which of those young quarterbacks went in, or are those guys just kind of right there together?
No, that's one of the places that we don't have an answer yet. These guys, nobody's really separated themselves from the other guys, so we've repped both guys with the 2s, and we'll continue to do that. And, you know, this might be a 2-week deal. It might be a 6-week deal. You know, now you do have to decide who you're going to put in, right? So that's probably going to be dictated on who has performed the best this week until somebody has separated themselves there.
Coach, speaking of separation, do you anticipate playing all those guys on the defensive line on Saturday that you have listed, or is it a pecking order there yet?
No, we're going to play a lot of bodies. You know, I'm just looking on both sides of the ball, especially in the line of scrimmage. We're going to play a lot of guys. There's some guys that have played a little bit around here, and most of them have not. so they need to play. I think they all deserve to play. I don't know how much difference there is in most of them, you know, so each one of them has their own strengths. So we feel like we need to play a lot of folks.
As kind of a follow-up to that, Jeremy, have you made the metaphor of elementary school or junior high, now that we're at game week, have you seen the growth that you were looking for from that group, even though, many of them had not played a college snap yet, 5 days out from game day?
Those guys have really worked hard and improved in where they were at in spring ball to where they're at today. Has really been positive. They've got to continue to do that every single week. We have really an inexperienced football team when you look at the 2 deep or 3 deep. So we're going to continue to improve this season, and we've got to focus on that every day. We can't take a day off. We've got to work hard to improve, and we've got to be much better in week 2 than we were in week 1, and each continuous week of the season. So our defensive line, along the rest of our team's got to work hard to do that.
Steve and Blake.
Just see confirmation regarding Malik Gray no longer with the program, or has he decided to transfer?
Right, Malik has transferred.
Jeremy, you mentioned at different times during the offseason a commitment to building player relationships going into this season. I guess, when did you or how did you come to that realization that should be a priority for you entering this second season here?
It was probably around Christmas. Like I said, when the season's over with, the first thing you do is you go back and you got to look back and say, okay, what did we do really well? Where did we not do so good at? And the first thing that I looked at is I looked in the mirror myself. And I've said this before. If you look at the teams that I've been a part of over the years, specifically the groups that I have coached, play together, play with toughness, play smart, never quit, relentless, something that I've kind of prided myself in the guys that have played. And now, as you're in charge of the entire team, what was the identity? Did we play that way the entire year? There was a point in time in several games last year that we were on the cusp of playing the right way. Did we sustain that? No. And if you look, we lost some games because of mental errors, and we lost some games because, to me, just the willingness to fight. Well, that all goes back to me, right? I know that's last year and we're moving forward, but a direct question for me is that, to me, that goes back to relationships. And I said it before, the first 6 months here on the job, everything was focused on, whether it's fixing the weight room, the training table, recruiting staff, whatever it is, setting up a foundation, right? And I missed the most important part, which is my favorite part, is the players, So I'm sitting there last night, and it's like midnight. My wife wakes me up, and I'm like, "What do you want?" She goes, "Hey, I'm going to feed some guys this week. Who do you want me to feed?" So it's been just kind of continuous, just going throughout the season, just to build relationships, get to know guys, and have an influence on them, right?
Marshall and Brent.
Coach, when you look at the start of this season, the first 3 games at home, and I think you got to go back to 2010 to find another schedule that had 3 straight games at Neyland Stadium to kick off the schedule. For the team, do you think that does anything for this team, knowing that they get to stay on campus and start the schedule 3 straight weeks at home?
Well, I'm worried about this week, but I know our players are excited. How can you not be excited when you get a chance to pull up in that bus for the ball walk? There's, standing room only, right? And you feel the passion and the energy of the fan base, when you run through the tee. And there's lots of guys on our team that's going to get to do this for the first time, okay? So they'll get to experience something that will stick with them the rest of their life.
Brandon and Jimmy.
Coach, when you have a young team at so many spots playing, as you mentioned, for the first time in there, what's the key to being clean from a game management standpoint? How do you make sure you don't have pre-snap issues, substitution issues? What's some of the factors to being clean that way with a young team?
Well, I think as a coaching staff, it starts with us. We have to be able to keep our poise. We're not going to be completely clean. You know, nobody ever is. So, to me, just having poise and having confidence, and you know, you can rep it a bunch of times, and you know, you want to do it till you can't get it. You know, till you don't get it wrong. You know, so that's what we've been working on.
Jimmy.
Jeremy, how many freshmen do you anticipate playing? And also, do you think Ratulik will be ready?
You know, I think Daniel would be pushing for him to be ready this week. You know, he's not going to be able to practice today. He's right there, but we'll make sure that we do what's in the best interest of him. And as far as freshmen, Jimmy, I don't know. I haven't looked.
Other questions for Coach? Gene?
Coach, you talked about not always being clean with the young team, but how much of that are you willing? How many mistakes are you willing to accept? You know, through the course of the first few weeks, as you've got young guys trying to figure some stuff out.
Well, I think us as coaches, we're always looking for the perfect game, right? You know, the number one maxim is the team makes the fewest mistakes will win. So first thing you got to do is don't beat yourself. So I don't think you sit there and say, hey, we tolerate mistakes, but they happen, right? So when they happen, you got to be able to keep your poise and minimize them and learn from them, and don't let them happen again.
Final question, Wes.
Jimmy, with first games, a lot of times, you know, maybe so many unknowns compared to what you'll see throughout the rest of the year. As a head coach, does that get you excited about what you might see, or kind of make you a little nervous about what you might see on Saturday?
Well, when you have turnover in coaching staffs, you know, are you going to get what they did at this last school, or are you going to get kind of what they were before? You know, so there's lots of unknowns. So, hey, we're going to be simple on both sides of the ball. Give our kids a chance to play fast, you know, and try to win each play in itself. You know, we have goals offensively for every play, defensively. So we're going to take it one play at a time and play together and have fun while we're doing it.
Thank you, Coach.